Hey everyone, hey hockey fans, especially those who follow the Calgary Flames here. Well, that was another NHL Entry Draft for 2019 here, and just like I did last year, which last year at this time was when I was about to start figuring out what I was going to do on YouTube channel for covering sports and that, and it was basically when I did my trade video then, and I decided the next day to do a draft recap video. So that's what I did last year, and do the same thing this year, which I'll do again this year, is I'll recap who the Calgary Flames drafted and where, and just for the sake and fun of it, follow the draft picks that we traded away and who drafted with those players. Some picks that we traded away, went through a few trades before it actually got drafted. And another bonus is that since I also cover the Calgary Hitmen, there actually was a couple of Calgary Hitmen players that got drafted, and actually Alberta Midget Hockey League player based here in Calgary also got drafted here. So let's get going. And if you go back to my previous video on my mixed bag there, I listed the 5 spots that the Calgary Flames drafted. They did not make any trades, or the Flames didn't make any trades to move up, down, or pick anyone up. There were a couple of trades at the draft there. I mean, on the second day, you can look online that you had Patrick Marleau, who was going from Toronto to Carolina. Some speculate that's a buyout deal. And then PK Subban, he went from the Nashville Predators to the Jersey Devils. And then JT Miller, who went from the Tampa Bay Lightning to the Vancouver Canucks there. But you can follow those trades, various sources there. And also, one of the reasons why you didn't have really many trades yet at the draft was there was uncertainty on where the salary cap was going to be. Some were speculating it was going to be around $83 million, but after all revenue and ad and expenses were accounted for, they actually announced just today, right after the draft for the 2019-20 season, that the salary cap will actually be $81.5 million. So there'll still be a couple days of trades, and then, just 9-10 days away. It's Canada Day, Free Agency Day on July 1st there. So there'll still be a lot of activity going around, and who knows, there might be a trade video here. So that's the other news about the draft here. But let's dive into what the Calgary Flames did at the 2018 draft. It was just held in Vancouver here. So this year, unlike last year and in 2015, the Calgary Flames actually had a first-round pick this year. They ultimately decided to keep their first-round pick, and actually considering we were finished second best in the league, they don't seed the team, especially the Final Four, until the Conference Championships here. So the Flames actually picked 26th overall here in the first round here, and we picked up Jakob Pelletier, a left winger. He's a Canadian who played in Moncton of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League here. So he's from Quebec City. So the first pick, we picked a Canadian who he's in the CHL system there. So that was who we drafted in the first round there. And someone actually pointed this out here that since Brad Treliving has become general manager of the Calgary Flames here, actually every first round pick that we've made, Sam Bennett, Matthew Tkachuk, Yusuf Valimaki, those are all guys that have already made an immediate impact. And actually every second round pick that we had, Mason McDonald has not played in the NHL, and that was a second round pick in 2014 there. But in 2015, we had Rasmus Manderson and Oliver Shillington, and then Dylan Dubé, a guy that we drafted in the second round in 2016. They've all played in the NHL here, so I got faith in him. Jakob Pelletier will make an immediate impact here at the Flames. Who knows, maybe this year or a couple years down the road here. But the next few players here, I know that they've already committed a couple of seasons in college or where they're coming from here. So the Flames' next player that they picked was in the 3rd round here. This was 88th overall. This was their own pick. They picked Ilya Nikolayev, if I said that name right. He's a centerman, came from Yaroslavl of the Rus-Jr. Hockey League. So we drafted a Canadian, and now we drafted a Russian here in our system here. So that's the 3rd round pick here. And then the 4th round here, this was a pick that we got in the Travis Hamonic trade. So the Travis Hamonic trade that we made a couple years ago at the 2017 draft actually gets completed today, because all the picks that are involved in this year's draft finish off the trade here. So in the 4th round, 116th overall here, the Calgary Flames drafted Rus-Jr, if I said that name right, from a left winger. He's from Sweden, from Pelletier, Swedish Junior League. I definitely butchered those names there, but so we drafted another forward here, 2 left wingers and a centerman here of our 3 players so far. So in the 5th round here, this is our own pick, 150th overall here. The Calgary Flames drafted the American in Joshua Noodler, a centerman, and another guy that we have been drafting a few more players from the USHL. This guy played at Fargo here, so we got 2 another centerman here that which I think we can build up our forwards throughout the system here, because I think we're still pretty deep in defense here, as it's obvious with our picks here. And then the last player that the Calgary Flames drafted in the 7th round here, 214th overall. This pick came from the Carolina Hurricanes. This was in that Eddie Lackford, Keenan Kanzik trade that we made a couple years ago, just before the free agency here. Actually, we drafted this could maybe be potentially a steal here, is an American and Dustin Wolf, a goalie who played with the Everett Silvertips in the WHL there. So and he had one of the highest save percentages of all the goalies ranked here, and Everett was one of the stronger teams in the WHL here. So I think we could get a potential steal here late in the draft here, and Dustin Wolf here, but that's just looking at the numbers of all the players that we drafted here. So to recap who we drafted here, so 26th overall, we got Jakob Pelletier of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, played in Moncton. That was their 1st round pick there. That was the Friday night pick. And then our 4 players we picked on the Saturday, 3rd round, 8th overall, Nikolayev, centerman from Yaroslavl, Rus-Jr. And then 116th overall, Rus-Jr, left winger from Pelletier of Sweden Junior Hockey League. And then Joshua Noodler, 5th round, 150th overall, from Fargo, the USHL. And then Dustin Wolf, 214th overall, 7th round, Dustin Wolf from the Everett Silvertips here. So those are the 5 players that are now newest Calgary Flames here. So just for the fun of it, just to be different here compared to some other people on YouTube that do sports recaps here, let's have a little fun and speculate what could have been, because these are players that used the picks that we traded away here. So the first pick that was traded away here, that was in play in the 2nd round here, a 57th overall pick, that was the second round pick that the New York Islanders acquired in the Travis Hamonic trade there a couple years ago. And I think one of the conditions of that trade was that if the Flames missed the playoffs in 2018, which unfortunately they did, that 2nd round pick would have had to happen this year, because the year that we were give up that second round pick, we would have gotten that 4th round pick, which we got in this draft there. If you follow along, or you can read these trades online, and there's one pick that I kind of got confused on following the lifestyle that I think I finally got it, but I might have not. But the 2nd round pick that the New York Islanders used, the 57th overall pick, was on Samuel Bullock, a defenseman there. So that's the final piece. That plus with Lucas Fuke. So those are the final two players that finished the Travis Hamonic trade. I mean, in the short term, Calgary won that trade, but we'll see how those 3 draft picks that play out for the New York Islanders in the future there. So that's the second round pick. The New York Islanders kept that pick after all. So the 4th round pick here, this is where it got interesting here. The 4th round pick, 119th overall, it was actually owned by the Los Angeles Kings here, and they drafted QMJHL. I butchered the name, but I'm sorry for that. But this pick was acquired from the Montreal Canadiens last year at the draft day on the Saturday, because I know Calgary picked up an extra 4th round pick to draft Milos Roman, and that pick went to the Montreal Canadiens, which I know there was a pick that the Winnipeg Jets had too. And follow along here is that this pick went to the Montreal Canadiens, and then eventually the pick went to the Los Angeles Kings with Nate Thompson for a 5th round pick that the Canadiens got that originally Arizona had. So that's why Los Angeles ultimately had that draft pick that we traded to Montreal last year at this time here. So that's the 4th round pick. So the 6th round was 101st overall pick. This was our pick. It went to the Carolina Hurricanes, and they drafted a right winger in Kevin Hall here, and this was part of that trade where I know we traded Keenan Kanzik and this pick, and then we got Eddie Lack, and I know we got Ryan Murphy, who I think part of that deal, the trade, was we bought him out, and then that 7th round pick that we used on Dustin Wolf there. So that's what Carolina used on that pick there. And then the 7th round, their 212th overall pick, ultimately went to the Columbus Blue Jackets there, and they drafted a centerman in Tyler Angle here. As you recall here, in the trade deadline of 2018 here, we traded away a 7th round pick, which was this pick. It went to the Ottawa Senators for Nick Shore there. Well, eventually Ottawa had that pick, and they traded it with Anthony Duclair, or traded to Columbus to get Anthony Duclair there. So that's how that trade played a role there. So something to think about. I'll put that all in the description there, but just extra food for thought on players that we traded to get and the picks that we traded away. This is who got used on those picks, and that's the beauty of some of these trades, is that you don't know until 5, 10, 15 years down the road and say, damn, I wish we didn't trade that 7th round draft pick. So that's for the Flames picks and their traded away picks. And now let's get to a couple local players that Calgary hockey fans would be familiar with. There's actually a couple of Calgary Hitmen players actually got drafted today. The first Calgary Hitmen player that got drafted actually started off the 5th round, 125th overall. Our captain and our center, Mark Kaslik, got drafted by the Ottawa Senators there. So congratulations to Mark Kaslik. And then later, a few picks later in the 5th round here, 133rd overall, Carson Folk, center left winger. He's drafted by the Vancouver Canucks there. So congratulations to Mark and Carson on being drafted in the NHL there. Hopefully still continue being a Calgary Hitman, and good luck in the NHL there. Minus when you're not playing the Flames there. And then there's one more last thing here. There's the Alberta Midget Hockey League, where you have teams like the Calgary Flames, the Calgary Buffaloes, the Calgary Northstars, and Calgary Royals. I think those are the 4 teams there. Don't follow that as much here, but in the 7th round here, 206th overall, defenseman who played for the Calgary Northstars here, Kieran Rus-Jr, the defenseman, he got drafted by the Montreal Canadiens there. So, as I say, you got 3 local guys that played their junior hockey here in Calgary who also got their names called. One of the 217 players that got named to the NHL Entry Draft here in 2019 here. This will always be remembered as the Jack Hughes draft, as Jack Hughes ultimately was drafted first overall by the New Jersey Devils there. So yeah, it's my draft recap on what the Calgary Flames did in 2019, and looking ahead to what has in store for these players here. I mean, I think Jakob Pelletier, I think given the track record of this current regime of scouting here, I think Jakob Pelletier is going to be a player that you're going to hear more of in the next couple seasons on making a team here. Of course, once you get deeper in the draft there, I mean, you get down to the final strokes where you only get maybe a 10-15% chance of those players making it to the NHL there, but heck, you never know. I mean, looking back, I mean, Johnny Gaudreau, he was drafted like in the 4th round. 2015 draft, Andre Mangiapane was drafted in the 6th round there. So, I mean, you got guys that can, not get skies high or overlooked, or get bumped by guys who are overrated that don't pan out, and all they do, they just need a chance there, and, if they get the right development, the right time, who knows here. But, I wish all the players all best of luck that got drafted in the NHL, and I mean, there's players that sadly did not get their names called. Well, I mean, there's only 7 rounds now, and some players who might be sitting at the entry draft today might still actually get a contract for, get an undrafted free agent and come to camp here. I mean, heck, Mark Giordano of the Calgary Flames, who recently won the Norris Trophy, he was not drafted at all. He was an unsigned free agent back in 2004, and then there's always that trivia question on who's the best NHL player to never be drafted. Well, you might have heard this Wayne Gretzky guy, the great one. He was never drafted, but he did also start his career in the now defunct World Hockey Association there. So anyway, I mean, if you enjoy everything I do on my YouTube channel, where cover Calgary sports here, just make sure you hit like and subscribe here. I mean, up to this recording here, the Calgary Flames did not make any big trades on the draft day, which you could say it's a first for Brad Treliving since he's been general manager here. But, we still got a week away here, and now that the salary cap for the 2019-20 season is set at $81.5 million here, now that's when teams can start making some decisions. And with the trades that happened today, it was clear that those are definitely cap driven there, and there's still a possibility that I'm speculating that the Flames, I mean, if you go on, I also go on hockeybuzz.com, and a lot of the times, sometimes it's gossip stuff that you see at the grocery store at the National Enquirer there. They also highlight that the Flames are looking to upgrade in net there. So does that mean that they're going to look at a new tandem here? I still think David Riddick will eventually get signed here, but I think that means that they're going to move on from Smitty. I mean, he's 37. He did play well in the playoffs, and one of the only players that stood up in the playoffs after an up-and-down season here. But that's kind of also been sort of a sore spot of the Flames here the last few years, is getting that consistent goalie. But, there's been murmurs and speculation on that, but they're all just that, so I can't, make a video. I just want to say there's rumor speculation, and I'm personally thinking that if you follow local media here, that I still think Michael Frolik and TJ Brody might be expendable to try to shed some cap space, because we got some restricted free agents that we need to keep, and they're going to be in line for a little more money, especially Matt Tkachuk, and I just personally think if we're going to move on from Mike Smith, the only unrestricted free agent I think we have to re-sign for our 4th line is Garnet Hathaway there. So, I'll make a video on if there's any trades that happen by the Flames that is worthy of its own video. And then I think after July 1st, I'll do a free agent frenzy video like I did last year. But, for any Calgary sports content we're looking at next week here, well, you'll get episode 2 of season 2 of my Calgary Stampeders this month. I'm going to recap how June went for them on the gridiron there, as as we're now into the off season here, I definitely talk more football here, and I'll work on my other projects here with some personal vlogs here, as I got a long list of topics to pick out here. But I'm going to say it's exciting to be still a hockey fan after the Stanley Cup's been awarded, and speculating on the future of players that we drafted today, and future of players that we could trade out and bring in, or who knows what's going to happen to free agent frenzy this year. And, you know, the last thing I'll close out before I say see you is this season's going to be huge for the Flames in terms of how are they going to follow up from last year. I mean, we won the Western Conference in the regular season there. Unfortunately, we had a quick cameo with the Colorado Avalanche, and we were done in 5 here. But since 2015, it's been make the playoffs, miss, make, miss, make. I mean, the big one thing is going to be we need to make the playoffs this year to continue building on what has been built here the last couple of years, and try to finally get some stability behind the bench and upstairs in management here. And I still believe that we have the pieces in place. That I think this past season was a big coming out party here, and I think the only weakness that this latest regime with our management system has been is not being able to quite find that goalie that we're sold on, and then we've been hit or miss with free agents. Although I still say we, you know, with all of our first round picks that we've had since Brad Trelevin's taken over, and the few second round picks that we've had here, we've had players that have raised up in the system and actually played for the Calgary Flames, and there's been a couple late picks too. So I still keep the faith that we're doing all right here, and you know, I still think we're on the up here with our younger talent here. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, and go Flames go!